Hello! Well, that's a little intro to this new guitar that I have. So, show and tell time. I just got a new Flamenco Blanca off the table. Maybe I'll just go to it. Look at switches. Yes, so where should we start? Got a few things I want to talk about this instrument, but maybe I'll just do a little overview and you can have a look at it. Bocote bridge. Now with the bridge, I decided to not go with a high gloss shellac French polish. There's a bit of shellac on it, but it's mostly waxed with O'Brien Luthier wax. And sometimes I shellac the bridges. It's the high gloss look, and other times I want something a little bit more, I guess, rough. You could say rough, I suppose. But in a sense, it's sort of reflecting the fingerboard, which isn't which isn't shellacked. And the fingerboard's looking pretty black, but there's some subtle striations in that. Yeah. Okay, so this is a black and white instrument. It's all Canadian cypress, backsides and top, and the neck as well. So it's a very light colored guitar. I've got the friction pegs. In this case I'm using violin pegs actually, so the distance here is shorter than some of my other ones where I use viola pegs and the pegs come out to maybe about here. I like them both. It's more or less an aesthetic thing. Although the violin pegs have a narrower diameter, which maybe to some might find that a bit easier to tune. Hard to say. One interesting thing on this instrument, do you see the grain here? At some point that just popped right out. So let's see if I can catch this on the camera. Yeah, it just sort of came out of nowhere almost as I was sanding it. It's quite interesting. Doesn't show on the other side. Yeah. I'm using every guitar makes a little bit different, but I always use this shape in the headstock. It's a little bit like a calling card, I would say, Anyway, unbleached bone, nut, and saddle. On this one I'm using a similar idea with the saddle, where I've grooved it in between the strings. I've been doing that in the last couple of guitars. I quite like it. I guess it reduces mass to a degree, which is a factor. Again, we've got a 12-hole bridge, and the way I do the extra holes, I make it so it creates this slight chevron kind of shape. Yeah. Have the golpe plate on it already, because it is a Blanca. Now okay, so let me talk about, okay, so it's a cypress back and sides and top, so that's a light colored wood, obviously. But the other thing I wanted to do on this instrument was keep it very simple, very shaboomy, eh? No purfling, just Rocklite. It's kind of ebony type black binding. Very simple. Quite like it. I'm trying to show, as I come along, I'm trying to show little inconsistencies and stuff while I'm here. I do all my binding channels by hand. I don't use a router or anything. And sometimes it's not exactly machine precision, but I do my best to make it as perfect as possible. Very simple. Even on the back, again, very simple. Just a simple, straight ahead black on the back there. And then it ends up in this ebony cap right here. Quite often I'll do the backs and extend the back up to here, but in this one I thought, oh, it'd be really nice to have this beautiful black end cap there. Now, as always, my rosettes are very unique. I quite love this one actually. See if I can do this without getting too much reflection. Now, on my Coras and shamistens, I quite often name them, you know, and I'll for the name I'll maybe be inspired by the time of year that I made it. But the guitars I don't, for whatever reason. Maybe people, if they want to, can name it themselves. But on this one, when I was working on it, and because of the black, very simple black binding and treatment, I thought, oh, the idea of it kind of like the edge of night with shooting stars merging into the day. You know, soon the sunlight will come. This is the kind of thought I had as I was making it. So I thought I'd mention that. Whoever wants to purchase it, it's for sale. I'll also mention that that was part of my thinking. I've got La Bella 2001 flamenco strings on it. Quite like those. What else have we got going here? Oh, the frets. I'm using Evo Gold frets on this. I really like the Evo Gold. I mean, I often use 18% nickel silver as well. That's great stuff. But lately I've been trying out the Evo Gold frets. It's Evo as in EVO, and it's a little bit harder than the 18% nickel. Not that that matters so much on a nylon string, but it has the gold's coming from a copper in the metal itself, and that's where you get that slight gold tinge, you know. It's pretty subtle, you know. It's a warm thing. I love warm tones in general, you know. And the head plate is African ebony. Again, continuing on with that idea of just black and white, very simple, very clean. Yeah, so that's the tour of my latest guitar. If you're interested, I'll put a link below. I just strung it up, put strings on it yesterday. Put strings on around, in the afternoon, I'd say, and then let it sit for a while. Usually it needs to sit for quite a while before you can get a real sense of it, But I played it that evening around last night around 7:30, and I almost had heart palpitations from playing it. It's just like, oi! It's really nice. It might be the driest instrument I have at the moment. And words are tricky, right? Dry, like with a flamenco guitar, especially the blancas, you kind of want to don't want dry as opposed to too much sustain, right? Some people will think, oh, you want as much sustain as possible. Not necessarily the case, right? So in flamencos, depending on the sound you want and the kind of playing you do, sometimes you want a drier sounding instrument. But I'll do a playing example later today or tomorrow and put that up as well, so you maybe get a sense of it. But yeah, it was so much fun. I was so excited playing it, and yeah. I mean, I love them all, right? Everyone I make, oh, I should keep this one, but I don't. Anyway, hope this finds everyone well and happy and all that. And yeah, give me a ring if you want one of my guitars. I have 4 now available. And I have almost enough materials for one more, so I'll be puttering away on that for a little while still. And what I find is that my instruments will hover here for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom! Someone wants them, and then there's like this weird energy in the universe that all of a sudden I sell them all. Anyway, yeah. So that's about it. Here we are, northern Thailand, end of the dry season. It's very hot. Hope you're well. Cheers. Ciao.